Garrett Riley is coaching where? He's going to be the head coach where? That's what this article, or a couple of articles, are alluding to, and I'm going to talk about it today. This is going to be fun. Welcome to the channel. I'm Brian. I'm glad you're here. If you're in the upstate of South Carolina, heck, if you're in the South right now, you're probably getting pummeled by rain. I know that here in the upstate of South Carolina, we're definitely experiencing a lot of rain, been experiencing a lot of rain, and there's more to come, but hope you're staying safe. If you like talking college football, if you like arguing about college football, if you like ruining your day, you get so upset about college football, this is your channel, my friend. I hope you'll subscribe. I know I'm got my Clemson garb here, but I talk about other college football teams, so I hope you'll subscribe. Remember, it's free. So I am this close to 5,000 subscribers, and it's all because of you guys and you ladies. Thank you so much. Drop me a line. Let me know that you're in here. Let's dive right in. So a few different Clemson media publications, Clemson Wire, and then the SI division, I say division, sounds like it's a big corporation, of Sports Illustrated, wrote an article about Garrett Riley that, according to an ESPN college football writer, Adam Rittenberg, that Garrett Riley is one of those potential head coaches in waiting for another school. He names in this article South Florida's Alex Golesh, former Missouri Tiger coach Barry Odom, who's now at UNLV, which he has two players dipping out on him right now after they're not receiving their NIL money. Liberty's Jamie Chadwell, definitely believe in that guy. Then we have Tulane's John Summerall. Now, I want to say John Summerall just came from what, was it Troy? So this is his first year at Tulane. But anyway, those are some hot names, and Garrett Riley was named in it. Now, let's talk about Garrett Riley. He was the 2022 Broyles Award, which it goes to the nation's top assistant. Remember, in 2022, it was his first year as the offensive coordinator at TCU. Sonny Dykes' first year. So when Sonny Dykes left SMU and took the job at TCU, Garrett Riley left there with him. I'll show you Garrett Riley's experience here in just a moment. But he left there, went to TCU, and got them to the national championship, got them to the playoff. They beat Michigan, the team that the very next year would win the national championship. And then, of course, they had that embarrassing game against Georgia. But he's kind of a big deal. Let's talk about Garrett Riley and his experience. Also, let's just remember this. This is this is one of those coaches or coordinators to keep your eye on. Okay, this is one of those lists. But I'm going to tell you why I would not be shocked if he did leave this year, if the right opportunity comes along. Because I'm going to show you, and yes, it's Wikipedia, but I'm going to show you his coaching experience on Wikipedia because it actually lists it really in a nice condensed way. So it's easy for you to see, and I don't have to try to paint a word picture for you, and you're sitting there like, dude, just show me a chart. So hopefully you can see that. But look at this. I talk about this all the time. Garrett Riley, obviously his brother is Lincoln Riley out at Southern Cal. Very well-known coordinator, very well-known offensive power. He's done some really good things. I think he's taken some flack for what's going on at Southern Cal right now, but let's just be honest with ourselves. Lincoln Riley can coach. You may have mixed feelings about him, but overall, the guy can coach. But his brother, Garrett, the offensive coordinator at Clemson, just started coaching in 2011. That is being listed here. Roosevelt High School. Then you go on down to Augustana, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's like a D. Yeah, that's a college team, D3 level. Then for 2 years he was at East Carolina as a GA. 1 year as a whatever that is. Then he was at Kansas for 3 years. He was at Appalachian State for 1 year. I want to say that's Eli Drinkwitz that was there at that time. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. He was at SMU for 2 years, then 2022, and now he's at Clemson for going into this is his second season. So you're like, okay, Brian, why are you saying he's the head coach of where? Just because these articles names him out to be the potential head coach somewhere? No. No. They just raise a really good point. I want you to look at this list, and I want you to tell me, where did he stay the longest? Like once he became a coach, where was he at the longest? Now you could say, oh, he was at East Carolina for 3 years, 2 years as a GA, 1 year as an actual coach. You go to Kansas, 3 years at best? 1 year at Appalachian State, 2 years at SMU, 1 year at TCU. We're in year 2 at Clemson. Now, I'm an opportunist. Let me explain that. You have two types of opportunists. People who are unethical. They'll break laws, they'll lie, they'll steal, they'll whatever to get an opportunity. And then you have ethical opportunists. If a good opportunity presents itself, and there's nothing wrong with it, you're not going to have to steal, you're not going to have to commit a crime, you're not going to have to victimize people, you will take that opportunity. Maybe you've been at a job for a year, but another job comes along, they're going to pay you X amount of dollars more, and you're going to have a really good quality of life. Well, I appreciate this opportunity over here, but if times get hard for them, they'll fire me. So I have to look out for myself. I'm going to take this role over here. That's just life. But if you look at this right here, he's an opportunist. He is an opportunist. And so as I read the article, both articles, which they're basically the same, talking about Adam Rittenberg's naming of Garrett Riley as a potential head coach for another school. And then he brings up how the past 2 weeks, the offense, though I know NC State and Appalachian State's not very good, I know about the whole Georgia thing, but these past 2 weeks proves how college football fans have a short memory and how they can be wooed by a couple of games and totally forget where you were at just 3 weeks ago. And I think there's a balance there. I've laid that out in other videos. That's not the subject today. Suddenly, Garrett Riley is becoming a hot commodity. And one of you in the comments section, let me see, Clemson 24-26, he's going to finish his contract. We have him until next year. Maybe so. KJ, what's up, Brian? Good to see you. Porsche Pouch 79, it's good to see you. Listen, I have not replied to some of your comments recently. That was not personal. I've been meaning to. Thank you so much for commenting here. I think Garrett wants to win a national championship before he leaves. Maybe so. But folks, if the right head coaching opportunity comes along that he feels like he would flourish in, I believe he would take it. And I believe that he would leave. And you say, why? Because he's seemingly an ethical opportunist. Really. He's an opportunist. His brother is a head coach. He was an offensive coordinator, at East Carolina, and went over to Oklahoma and then took over for Bobby Stoops. Got his team to the first round of the playoffs, lost in a thrilling overtime loss in the Rose Bowl to Georgia. It was epic. Now, is it Southern Cal? The job is more difficult in Southern Cal. It really is. Southern Cal has not been Southern Cal since about, 07. Maybe you can point and say, well, here was a season they were really good. Here was a season they were really good. But just consistent dominance that was intimidating, not really to me. Because I can remember the Leinart, Bush, Dwayne Jarrett, all of those guys. I can remember those days. It was unbelievable. Even if you hated them, you were like, oh my God, these guys are good. They're unbelievable. But he is following along the same trajectory of his brother. So if someone comes along and offers to make him the head coach at a school that he feels like it's not just being a head coach, but like being a head coach at said school would give him a chance, would actually give him a legitimate chance of having success at a legitimate level, he would go there. He wouldn't take a job that's just offering him the title head coach. We're going to make you a head coach, but guess what? You're going to fail here. That's bad for you. I know that personally. I have seen that happen in scenarios where people gets a title, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Just to give some context, I've talked about former Clemson offensive line coach Thomas Austin, who was just fired at the end of the 2023 season. He's a former Clemson player. He spent 2 years coaching at Georgia State. Dabo Swinney called him, said, hey, come in. He came to Clemson, and they fired him in 2 years as the offensive line coach. And here's the deal. Do I blame Thomas Austin for coming back home? No, I don't. But I do believe it's one of those scenarios of too much too soon. So it ends up hurting you more than it helps you. Your alma mater fired you. A lot of people talking about Josh Heupel going back to Norman this past weekend to play against the team. He won a national championship as the starting quarterback, was the offensive coordinator, and after his 40-6 loss against Clemson, they didn't renew his contract. He goes from his alma mater, where he's the king, and he ends up going to Utah State. Then he ends up taking on the coaching job at UCF and does a great job, revamps his career, takes over a Tennessee team where it was just a mess. And I'm going to leave it at that. We see what he's done. Sometimes you have to go through things. But at first, even if it's not your fault, sometimes you have to go through certain things and you have to regroup. Too much too soon can be bad. That's not always the scenario, but I'm just saying Garrett Riley, I don't believe would leave Clemson to go take over. I'm just going to pull a school out of the hat. I don't think he would go take over. I'm just going to name a school. That doesn't mean that their coach is about to be fired. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that baseline. But I don't think that he would go take over Texas State. I just don't. Appalachian State may be looking for a new coach at the end of this season. I just don't believe that he would go take that. Maybe he would. Maybe he believes he could revamp the Appalachian State job because he was there for 1 year. But I just don't think that he would leave being one of the top offensive coordinators in America, recently receiving the award, to go fail as a head coach. But I do believe that if the right opportunity presented itself, that he would take it. Got some good comments in here. I'm going to talk about it and just get to these comments in just a second, because that's a hot topic and it deals with Garrett Riley's abilities. It deals with Garrett Riley's just basically his effectiveness as a coach. But folks, if you're sitting here and you're like, Brian, why are you bringing this up? You're trying to stir the pot. I'm just reading an article and I'm talking to you about it. And it makes a lot of sense to me. And if you're sitting here going, well, Brian, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, I'm just going to go back to one more graphic and you can deal with it. Look at that graphic. So if the right job were to come along, I believe he would leave, especially with the success that he's now having versus last year when everyone was questioning who's calling the plays. I'm going to get to that in just a second. It's in the comment section right now, the live chat. I'm going to talk about that. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I want to address it. But the point that I'm making here, and I want you to see as we're looking at this, is that this is reality. Because that graphic there that shows his coaching experience and how quickly he moved through the years, you know what it says to me? It says he would leave if the right opportunity came along, and you couldn't blame him. You could not blame him. Let's get to the comments section, and I'm on a peace out. Tell me what reference. Tell me the movie, that reference. Peace out. Let's go in here to the comments section. I'm going to fly through these. Ian Propes. Good to see you, Ian. It's been a while. I think Dabo isn't calling plays anymore. I think he's finally letting Riley call his game. Okay, Porsche Pal 79. Porsche Pal 79, you've made this comment a couple of times. I haven't got to respond to you, but you're going to get a live response here. Porsche Pal 79 says, according to Jason Priester, I know Jason. Jason's a good guy, who had done a couple of shows together, who has media access. Dabo was never calling the plays. The laminated piece of paper that you see Dabo holding on the sidelines is situational stuff. And Ian responds, still thinks he was given more input than he should. Okay, Porsche Pal, I've heard this, and I've heard Jason's response. Have respect for Jason. Again, I know Jason. We've done shows together. I don't do shows with a lot of people. Some of that is just because we can't get our schedule lined up. And then other people, just transparently, I don't want to do shows with because I know how they carry themselves. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and have a yelling match or take shots at one another. I'm not up for this. At the end of the day, college football is just a flipping game that people are paid a lot of money to play. But at the end of the day, it's just a game, and we can have fun. We can trash talk a little bit, but just being vile, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. I got out of middle school many, many years ago, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm not saying that towards you, Porsche Pal. I'm saying that Jason's one of the people I will work with. I respect what Jason is saying there. I do think that Dabo was having too much input. In one of his statements last year where he said, he's not on a short, talking about Garrett Riley, he's not on a short leash. Well, a leash is a leash. And we saw the offense look like trash. And let's just say that Dabo was not calling plays. We've seen him not hold that Waffle House menu too much recently, and the offense has looked better. So even if he was not calling plays, I don't care if he is the head coach. Dabo Swinney has publicly said that he's not the greatest X's and O's guy, but he realized to be the head coach, he didn't have to be the head honcho, meaning he's the everything man. Oh, I know everything about everything. If you ever run into someone who says they know everything about everything, you may need to run. Now, if they say, hey, I have hired the best experts, I have hired the smartest people you can get your hands on, and I've got them here, okay, we can talk. If I see these people's profile, just like on a coaching staff, and you're like, well, hey, you've got the best offensive coordinator, you got one of the best defensive coordinators, you've got the best linebackers coach, you got the best offensive line coach. I'm not talking about Clemson, I'm just spitballing here. Okay, you could say, all right, individually, you hired the best pieces. All right, I can buy that. But when you yourself say, I know everything, run from that person. Run and run fast. If it's slippery, you may not want to run as hard because you're going to fall down and move, but move accordingly. My point is, Dabo has admitted that, hey, I'm not the best X's and O's guys, but what he's done in the past is put the best pieces in place. So even if he has been given input on how the offense should go, love the guy, appreciate the national championships and all this bunch of stuff, but by his own admission, that's not his job. And it's just interesting, even though I know that the past two opponents, has been bad, Clemson's offense has looked unbelievably explosive, and it just seems like he stepped away. We will see. And I agree with you that the offensive line has improved. I do agree with that. At the same time, it seems like the offense is more aggressive. I know they took shots downfield against Georgia, but there's just still something different. So Anyway, we will find out. NC Vince, hey, Brian, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Austin Burrell makes you wonder if the University of Florida would go after him. Great question, Austin. I was thinking about the same thing. Porsche Pal, you're 100% right. And folks, for anybody who would say, oh, they would not go after a guy like him. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Billy Napier is not a bad coach, but Billy Napier was not, like I said just a second ago, too much too soon to come out of Louisiana and go coach at Florida when the expectations of Florida was just too high, you know? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. Tiger Red Devil. Calm down, Brian. It's not like Riley has set the world on fire. Remember the last time he was offensive coordinator for TCU. Tiger Red Devil, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. We need to remember that the Georgia game was only, 3 weeks ago? And for some of you, got like, hey, they're finally getting continuity. We don't need this negativity. Bro, I'm going to tell you, you don't know what channel you're watching. And by the way, if a guy who just likes to talk about his favorite football team on YouTube can throw the vibe of Clemson football, we've got bigger problems than me. I'm just saying that this is true. You have played two subpar opponents. You played two subpar opponents, and you did what you're supposed to do. Beat a bad team bad. That's one of my mottos. Beat a bad team bad. Don't let them hang around. Don't give them a chance to upset you. Put your foot on their throat and stand straight up. Bye-bye. And when you play a really good football team, don't play scared. End of story. But I agree with you. Here we go. Haven't looked that good in previous years against lesser opponents. True. Davis gone? Dabo gone? No, Dabo's not gone. Tuning in late. Riley will be the next head coach at Clemson. I don't know. John answers. I think Florida will go after Lane Kiffin. I could see that. I don't know what the buyout is for the Ole Miss job, but he built his team off of a bunch of transfer portal guys, and it's winning. It's winning right now, and it's doing great. But it's easier to recruit at Florida than it is Ole Miss. And after this year, I think you're going to see that Ole Miss team fall apart. I could be wrong. But then again, look at Florida State. I'm not even jabbing at Florida State. I'm being honest. Florida State did some really good things last year. No, the bowl game put a bad taste in people's mouth, but here's the deal. Florida State did have a good season last year for the most part. Well, I mean, for the regular season and ACC championship, they did. And then they tried to rebuild their team the same way that they rebuilt it. And look at them. They're 1-3. They're 1-3. And so maybe that happens to Ole Miss. Lane sees the writing on the wall, and he goes to Florida. Could you see Lane Kiffin coaching at Florida? I'm telling you, that would be really dangerous. He's made Ole Miss look so flipping good, it's ridiculous. Lane can coach. Lane's biggest enemy stares at him in the mirror. And I think he would probably even tell you that away from everybody. Caleb King, I still feel he needs to continue this season at the very least with our team consistently scoring high to raise his stock after last season. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, folks. And Dylan Spell, Caleb, I'm gonna combine you with Dylan. Riley's saying at least through his contract may extend in another year. Let me answer both of these because I think these complement one another. Kind of what I've said before, but it's really, really bring it together. Put it in a capsule. After last year, his stock went way down. And I did a video in the summer talking about how his stock had dropped and how he can't have this happen. And he will be looking for a way out. He will get with his inner circle and he'll look for a way out. But if he continues to burn up the woods and put up these record numbers, folks, if a solid head coaching job, I'm not talking about Michigan. I'm not talking about a Texas job. I'm talking about, hey, let's say Lane left and went and took Florida. If Ole Miss came knocking, do you think that Garrett Riley would turn that down? Let me answer that for you. No. No. If maybe an old Pac or a Big 12 school came to him, said, hey, we'd like for you to lead, and he felt good about it, he'd take it. But we will see. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. If he has this banner year and he gets just a decent coaching job, is he gone? I want to hear it from you. I want to hear why I do enjoy reading those messages. Also, I'm this close to 5,000 subscribers. I appreciate y'all doing what you've been doing. I think I need like 20 or 21 subscriptions. So if you have never subscribed, I hope you will subscribe. Remember, it's free. Also, I want you to remember this as well. If you want to support on a monthly basis, a lot of you have been joining on a monthly basis, $3 or $5. So I just made it really affordable to where you wouldn't even notice it coming out of your bank account. Why? Because I know that we have to be careful with our budget, especially these days. So if you want to support on a monthly basis, you like what I'm doing, I hope you will join. $3 or $5, you choose. At the very least, I hope you will subscribe. Remember, it is free. I look forward to hearing from y'all. Y'all take care of yourself. And as always, go Tigers and stay safe during this